Hello, this is a video describing the valve cover removal process for an '06 Honda Civic LX. This should also work for any 8th generation Honda Civic, as described in the Chilton's manual, which I highly recommend for torque specifications and some diagrams and pictures on how to get this process done. One thing that Chilton's is a little bit lacking in, due to the wide range of vehicles it has to cover, is photos specific to my car. So I'm making this video to assist those people who are having a little difficulty figuring out how to figure this out on my own, plus with the help of the manual. Our engine is the 1.8 liter engine. My understanding is that is the more or less standard engine for any 8th generation Honda Civic LX. One thing I noted after removing the cover, the valves did not need adjustment. We have 117,000 miles on ours. The recommendation, I believe, is to do the valve adjustment at 100,000 miles, but all of them still fit to specifications, so I didn't have to adjust any of them at this point. Also, the spark plugs, they're iridium spark plugs. Are kind of pricey, 12 bucks a piece. The reason they're pricey is because they last a long time, and iridium is expensive. But I found in looking at spark plugs, and you'll see this in the video, that even after 117,000 miles, besides the discoloration, they looked as good as the new ones. I should note that I'm a rank amateur at this, although my brother is a Mercedes mechanic, so that helps, but I really had no clue what I was doing going into this. I was just using the Chilton's manual and trying to figure it out as I went. Most of the bolts you need to remove on this are 10mm bolts. In fact, all the ones you have to remove are, as far as I could tell. I did need a 19mm socket in order to turn the engine over by the main crankshaft, and that is achieved by removing the right front wheel, and then there's a little star-shaped opening that you can stick a 19mm socket through, which attaches to the crankshaft, and then you can turn the engine over in order to move the valves if you wanted to check those. On replacing the gasket, I didn't get a picture of that. The store and the Chilton's manual recommend applying RTV to the gasket. Then it fits into the cover, and it's shaped to fit around all the bends and curves on the cover. And then replacement and reattachment of all the fittings is the reverse of the process that you see in this. This is a video about how to remove the valve cover on an 8th generation Honda Civic. This particular one is an LX. I think the motors are the same. This is the 1.8 liter engine. This is the valve cover right here. It's attached by 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and another 4 in the back in about the same position. First step per the Chilton's manual is to disconnect the battery. That's so that you don't have somebody accidentally turn the engine over while your fingers are in with the valves. Then the next step is to remove this cover here. That's just half-turn screws, and that snaps right off. So, it has clips that it snaps onto the cover here. The next step is to remove the ignition coils. The ignition coil mounting bolts are 10mm nuts. They come off like so. And then with a small screwdriver, and you got to be careful here, you don't want to break these clips or you're going to have a problem with replacing this whole wiring bundle here. Gently pry up the clip here, and then that will slide off, and then the ignition coils come right out like that. Then you continue the process with the other 3. At this point you can pull out spark plugs. We have a special spark plug socket. It's got a rubber gasket in there that will grab the spark plugs and actually pull them out. So we take the extended wrench here. It's pretty deep here, about 6 inches, about 3 or 4 inches down. And you take that, unscrew the spark plug, pull it out, and then to put a new one in, you coat it with anti-seize lubricant around the threads and do the reverse process and screw it in. Next we remove the injector harness cover. That's this fitting back here. It has two bolts here and here, 10mm bolts. We take those off, being careful not to drop them down the back of the engine. The next step is to remove this cover back here. This blocks your access to the rear bolts that hold down the valve cover. We've got the thing we just unbolted here, the wire harness for the injectors. And then behind that, this case here snaps off. It's held on just with plastic snaps. So that just pops off. You have to remove that snap here. This wire bundle clips off there. And then this thing just pops out. Try not to break it off. It just comes off like so. You can see one of the snaps in there where it clips into that metal ring there. Next we remove the bolts that hold down the valve cover, so as to remove them in the reverse of the tightening order. So the sequence for that is this one first, this one next, that one, and that one, that one, that one, and that one. That's a 10mm wrench also for these ones. Next we remove the bolts that hold down the ignition harness cover here. Once again, they're 10mm bolts. After we remove the two bolts here and here, then it's a matter of unhooking this. There's a clip right here that slides out. To get it out, you kind of have to lift it up and then pull it down, and it just slides right out of there like that. And that frees the valve cover now to be removed. After you remove the bolts that hold down the wiring harness here and here, remove the dipstick. The only thing remaining is to use pliers to squeeze these two clips here that hold the rebreather hose on here. Slide them down onto this here, and then break that loose by the pliers to get it moving. Once you've got that loose, this will all just slide off as easy as pie. One thing they say to do to avoid getting dirt into the valve, the valves, is to clean this off before you actually pull the cover. It's a bit tough to do. I haven't done that, so I'll be careful to clean that when I get done. The gasket is the only thing holding it on now. So just break that loose. And there we go.